6 Venezuelan boats closed on the world's largest warship, and the US answer was to move slower. No flares, no gunfire, just deliberate signals and geometry. In the next minutes, you'll see how a radar misread turned a carrier group into a single ship target, how the Hudner slid onto the intercept line to soft block, and how passive weapons tracking and a quiet SPY-6 picture dialed down the fuse. This is controlled escalation in the gray zone, proving that sometimes the most powerful move is refusing to flinch. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. You asked how one bright blip becomes a whole carrier group. Start with a radar room ashore staring at a narrow beam skimming low over choppy water. The night is hot, the sea a short, confused 3 to 4 feet, and the look angle is shallow, right where sea clutter blooms and washes faint contacts together. On that scope, the Ford's escorts run quiet, their emissions trimmed down. Deck lights are out. The big ship holds a steady base course in international waters north of the coast. On a degraded set, those scattered returns merge. Operators tag it as a single surface combatant, a destroyer-sized target. That reading goes out, and 6 fast patrol boats launch. They run hard at 30 to 40 knots, bow waves stacked, wakes cutting bright foam under IR. The geometry is simple at first. A lead contact on a straight track, a standard intercept lane, and open water. Close the bearing line, force a turn, film the reaction. That's the plan. But the sensor trap is already set. Low emission profiles shrink what the Venezuelan sets can see. The look-down angle off their own small antennas means every bit of swell and spray builds clutter. Weak returns from multiple ships smear together on an aging scope. Meanwhile, the US formation keeps a full 3D picture without shouting on the air. Passive systems listen. Escorts fuse bearings from multiple ears. They don't need a hard radar paint to track 6 fast movers growing in speed and confidence. The boats sort into an arrowhead. One up front, 2 pairs stepped back on the quarters, and a trailer boat in reserve. Small craft use it because it masses speed and choices. The front element can feint or force a CPA. The wings can sweep wide or cut in late, testing rule sets without crossing a line. It's a formation built for last-second options, and it thrives on misreads. On the US side, the destroyer USS Thomas Hudner sits forward on the carrier's quarter, then starts a slow displacement toward the center line. Intercept geometry is about lanes, not just range. The center line is the path that matters because that is where an aggressor expects compliance. A predictable turn away or speed change that yields the lane. Put steel on that line without threatening a collision, and you compress the corridor. You turn a wide gate into a narrow door. Silent listening modes on a modern array like SPY-6 help glue the picture together even when the ship holds emissions tight. The set can run low power or exploit side lobe energy, while passive detection picks up bearings from emissions the small boats can't hide. Navigation radars, data links, even brief key-ups. Overhead, MH-60R helicopters sit in orbit. Their infrared cameras read wake lengths to refine speed, catch tiny bearing changes, and feed that back to the combat information centers. The footage also builds the record. Every move, every non-response, archived. A Venezuelan coxswain stares at one target and a clean lane. He sees compliance ahead. A single ship to scare, a chance to force a broadcast. The US watchstanders see 6 fast movers growing a widening risk band that will clip 5 nautical miles in minutes. That band is a tripwire. At 5 miles, the scripted call goes out. A formal freedom of navigation broadcast. No answer. The boats keep pressing. Radio silence can be tactical bravado or orders to avoid a recording. Either way, it hardens the read on intent. Here's the first payoff. The operators ashore misread a low-emission, clutter-limited outline and fused multiple returns into one composite ship. The boats are sprinting to a ghost. As the arrowhead knifes forward, the Hudner eases exactly onto that center line and trims speed to hold the gate just tight enough to force a decision on the next beat. Why answer speed with less speed and barrels that don't quite stare? Because in a gray zone intercept, the loudest move is often the quiet one. The Hudner doesn't lunge. She slides to the center line and stays there, bow on, throttles trimmed, turning the wide, inviting approach into a narrow corridor. It's a textbook soft block, not a cutoff. The destroyer's hull becomes the message. The carrier's lane is set, and any path to it runs through disciplined steel. No sirens, no hard locks, just a deliberate shape in the water that changes the math. The Venezuelan Arrowhead pushes anyway. Boats fan and then reconverge, cameras up, hoping for a sharp turn or a flare to feed back home. The Ford holds course and speed as if bolted to the chart. That steadiness is not passivity. It's control. Every degree the carrier doesn't yield forces the patrol craft to keep burning distance into a tighter gate. The logic is simple. If the high-value unit won't blink, you test the screen, and the screen is now a straight line in your way. Non-kinetic signals begin to stack. The Mark 45 on Hudner eases along its arc with the kind of slow, deliberate train that announces readiness without a word. The CIWS doesn't rattle, it listens. Passive tracking grabs bearing and rate while staying off the trigger of escalation. Overhead, Seahawks orbit, turrets steady, collecting crisp video and infrared, documenting throttle changes, spacing shifts, and wake angles. None of it screams, all of it speaks. Here's why that matters. Passive tracking says, we see you, we have the solution, but we won't hand you the image of a radar paint or a hard lock that you can sell as harassment. Speed discipline says, we're not rushing to close a gap or hide a mistake. We own the timeline. When a formation keeps its emissions low and its movement tidy, it telegraphs a simple truth. We're ready without needing to prove it. At 5 miles, the scripted voice goes out on the hailing channel. It's the formal freedom of navigation broadcast that sets the legal frame and lays down the responsibility to maneuver safely. Silence answers. That lack of acknowledgement stretches the gray zone, which is the point of the gambit, but it also strips cover. No reply means no misunderstanding to lean on later. The record grows clearer with every second. A Seahawk crew calls range and bearing to the Hudner's bridge as the destroyer tightens the corridor another notch. The pilot reports small bearing swings from the lead boat, little corrections that admit the squeeze. Below, watchstanders mark each shift. The carrier never budges, the gate keeps shrinking. And with no flinch from the US side, the tempo belongs to the soft block. Now the Arrowhead starts to dull. Spacing that looked clean at 7 miles gets awkward inside 4. The wingboats lose the room to cut in late. Turning circles begin to overlap. Any aggressive move risks crossing wakes or forcing a collision narrative they can't control. The risk-reward flips. What was supposed to bait a reaction is now a trap of their own geometry. Brakes flash, engines spool down, bows swing open as the boats step out of the funnel they helped build. One by one they widen, then fall back into a looser trail. No flare fired, no line crossed. The standoff ends the way it should in the gray zone. Presence over noise, posture over threats, signals over shots. Pull back from the spray and the bridge chatter, because the lesson doesn't live only here. It scales to every crowded sea where modern navies manage confrontation inside the thin space between law and a spark. Restraint sent the strongest signal. A carrier group held course, managed risk with geometry, sensors, and time, and turned a rush into a withdrawal. Presence mattered more than volume, and control beat speed. The Hudner's soft block, passive tracking, and low-emission posture kept the fuse cold while keeping options open. If you value breakdowns of how crises get defused, not just fought, subscribe, and tell us which naval standoff to decode next. Drop your pick in the comments. Next time, we'll test the same playbook when the other side actually answers the radio and refuses to turn. Then we'll see how control adapts under pressure.